And I think sometimes people think of therapy as like you're broken, and so now you have to come to therapy to fix yourself. And that is not how I see therapy at all. It's just, allowing you to live with more comfort and ease within yourself.
Welcome, everyone, to another episode of Humanity 2.0 podcast, where we are talking to humans about humanity. Go figure, right? We are excited to have today's guest, Elizabeth Cush, who is a therapist and also a life coach for midlife women. How cool is that? I'm so excited to have you here. How are you doing today, Elizabeth?
I'm doing really well. Thanks for having me here, Vanessa.
Yes. And shout out to PodMatch for bringing us together. PodMatch is awesome at matching guests and hosts and giving really, really great value to our podcast through amazing people just like Elizabeth. So be sure to check them out in the link in the description. Now, Elizabeth, are you a good human and why?
I try to be a good human. Why? Because I guess I try to bring compassion towards others into my life. So one, being compassionate towards myself, but also understanding that other people have struggle with similar things that I do. And even if I don't understand maybe their point of view or their political perspective, just being able to meet them with compassion and instead of sort of a defended way of being, just to try to see them as another human who's going through stuff just like me.
And outside of your professional training, had you always been this way? Had you always been open to everyone, or did you find yourself closed off?
I was definitely more critical, more closed off. And I think through becoming a therapist and sort of learning the practice of self-compassion, being kinder to myself helped me be kinder to others, because it really gave me, I was not reacting to sort of my own criticism, if that makes sense, like finding ways to pick at myself, then I wasn't turning that on others too, if that makes sense. And just the work that I do, I really have to meet people where they are, no matter where that is, especially as a therapist, but as a coach and soul support for highly sensitive women. I really need to be able to meet people where they are and hold that space for them, because if I'm not, then I'm trying to make them change in ways that are meaningful to me or in theory that, are on my agenda. And that just doesn't work for therapy.
Yeah. Definitely not. But well, thank you for the work that you do and for the work that you will do in the future. That is so valuable to have a therapist like you that takes into consideration where people are and where they come from, and to meet them there is so important. So thank you for the work that you do. And we will definitely talk more about that a little later here in the episode. What I would like to ask you is, on a broader scale, when you think of the term humanity, what is the first story or picture or even color that comes to mind for you?
I think of like the globe. I think of like the world when I think of humanity, that we are all a part of humanity. So I guess the colors that come to mind are blue and green, and, the water and the earth. And, that's what comes to mind for me. That, I don't know if you've seen those pictures, like it's an illustration of like the world. And then it's like people sort of lining the whole outside of the world with their hands. That's kind of how I think about humanity, that, we just stretch across the world in ways that we may not know people on the other side of the world, but we're still a part of humanity.
Do you know many therapists in other parts of the world, and do you observe they have different practice methods?
I do know therapists in other parts of the world. In fact, I work personally, like my therapist is in another part of the world. I think the practices tend to be pretty similar. I mean, they may be trained in different modalities, but I think the idea behind therapy is pretty, at least from my perspective, is pretty universal. It's to help heal and to really create a better relationship with yourself. At least that's my vision of therapy.
I enjoy that you have a therapist in another part of the world. I think that's awesome, and I love therapists. Period. I think just you guys fascinate me because I mean the way that you speak to people and where you draw your influences from. And I remember my therapist, who I've known for years because they've treated our family and then individually. And I remember her saying, to the effect that, even therapists have therapists. And even sometimes there are things that you guys need to, get out in order to be the best version of yourself for your patients and such. And I remember a time where I was going through something and I just needed an emergency appointment, and she was there for that. And she said the most simple thing, and that just made everything better. And that was so great. She was like, you're not that, whatever that is that's bothering you, it's not contagious. You're fine. I'm like, oh, okay, I'm fine. Like, it's very simple. Sometimes you guys have the most simple responses, but on the most complex situations. And I just admire that so much. So thank you.
Yeah. Well, I think everybody should have a therapist, but, I'm a little biased.
I concur. I second that. Say it again for everyone to hear. Everyone should have a therapist. This is not sponsored by Calm or any other app or anything like that. No one's getting a kickback. No. We're touching on a really important subject in addition to humanities. Today's society often judges what they don't understand. What is it about therapy that they don't understand?
Well, I think a lot of people think you come to therapy because you have some really big, horrible, like whether it's a diagnosis or, you have this really huge thing you're trying to overcome. When honestly, I think that most of the clients that I work with come for pretty ordinary reasons. It may be like better relationship with their spouse, or it could be a better relationship with their parents, or even most importantly, a better relationship with themselves, right? That they have a harsh inner critic, or, they struggle a lot with anxiety or depression, but it's not typically some huge sort of out of the ordinary issue. And I think sometimes people think of therapy as like you're broken, and so now you have to come to therapy to fix yourself. And that is not how I see therapy at all. It's just, allowing you to live with more comfort and ease within yourself.
Would you say that comfort and ease is important in order for us to interact in other parts of our lives? Like, it's that foundation that's necessary in order for us to go forth and do as we see fit?
Absolutely. I think it's really important. I think that if we don't have a compassionate, caring, kind relationship with ourselves, it's really hard to meet others there. You know what I mean? It's hard to, often the judgment we feel, towards others is really stuff that we're dealing with too. So when we can come into relationship in a more grounded, solid, comfortable way with ourselves, then it makes it easier to really relate and to understand others and to be able to really hear what it is they're coming into the relationship with.
Mm-hmm. Given the world and everything going on inside said world right now, not naming anything specific, but given everything that's going on all over the world and within our country, what is your forecast for humanity?
I have hope that there will be a time where we can come back together in our common humanity. I feel like right now there is so much division that's sort of being poked and pushed, to like see other people as other. You are not like me, so you must be bad or dangerous or whatever, need to be locked up. But really, I feel like I am hopeful that we can come on the other side of this and be able to really see each other as humans again. And that's what keeps me going, because otherwise it feels a little scary to think that this sort of divisive, conflictual experience that we're going through right now feels kind of hard to imagine that won't ever go away.
And so does this hope for humanity, does it come from life experience, or does it come from just an internal place, optimism?
I feel like I have to work at it, the hopefulness. I do tend to be an optimist. There is that. But I also look at history. Like, we have been through some really terrible times in the history of humanity. I think about the world wars that everyone, generations past have gone through. The Holocaust, I think about genocide. I think, we have come through some very difficult times and made it to the other side where things were more peaceful and attitudes changed. Now, I'm not saying like every human on earth is going to be like, oh, peace and love and happiness. That's not realistic. But I hope that we can, as a people, as humans, begin to put aside differences and acknowledge that there are differences that are unhealthy and harmful. People using differences as a reason to condemn or enslave or put in jail others. And I feel like we need to be able to see that common humanity in order to move forward. And I'm hopeful that can happen.
Yes. Now, I was going to bring that up and you just brought it up again, which is great. Common humanity. You mentioned common humanity. Can you tell me a little more about what that feels like, or what you see common humanity as?
Yeah. So it's that idea that one, genetically, we are all almost 100% the same. So there's that. It doesn't matter what color our skin or eyes or whatever. But I also feel like the theme behind common humanity is that, like, we all struggle. We all have fears. We all want to have a happy life. We all want to experience joy. Like, there is a thread of humanity that goes through all of us, and that although I might be suffering, I know that there are other people in the world that suffer too, which makes my suffering feel less huge, I guess, or like I know that I'm not alone in it.
Yeah. Yeah. There are studies and I guess even life experiences that I've known personally where you find yourself in a group setting and you're with a group of people who are like-minded or have had a shared experience. And so in that case, they're able to identify with one another. And because of that opportunity, it makes them feel stronger that they see someone who's either the same and going through it, or else they see that person is far worse and they feel like theirs is not that bad. So then they're going to be okay, because that person is still here. So it's a very interesting way to think about things.
Yeah. Well, and there's been studies that show when you bring, two sides, groups of people from two sides of maybe warring nations where, these divisions have kept these countries apart for years and years and years. And you bring the groups of people together and they learn about the commonness of their experiences. It shifts attitudes and opinions and just, how they relate to each other.
There's actually a question that I will sometimes ask about shared humanity and have the guests kind of focus and think about, a moment where they experienced that shared humanity with a stranger and how that, made them feel and what all ensued. Do you have a story like that?
I grew up as a very anxious child, and any time that I share that with someone else who has also experienced maybe anxiety themselves, it does bring us together. Like, there is a shared experience there that helps me see them just as another human trying to get through the world. And I think what I've also found is, so I work a lot with highly sensitive people. So I think as a highly sensitive person, you often feel like you are very different or alone, and that your sensitivities make you less than. And what I'm finding is the more I gather as groups with highly sensitive women, that that shared humanity of like our experience may be different from the average person, but we share so much of the same experience. And it just helps us all feel more seen and heard and, not alone.
And we heal from that community of being around those people. Like, yes. 100%.
Yes.
I am totally in that community. I love it. I love that you commune with people like that. And I think it's amazing that there are more communities that are forming in this same method. There are so many communities, and it's just wonderful to see. It's wonderful to know that you're not alone, and it's wonderful to explore this world with other people that are in a similar situation or that are having similar experiences or similar feelings. It's just so nice to not be alone. I think we can all agree on that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Well, and as much as people don't like the virtual world, it gives us the power to connect across the country, across the world with others who, we may feel some kindred spirit to.
Yes, 100%. Thank you for saying that, because a lot of times the first thing that someone might say about the virtual world or AI or any kind of technology is like, oh, it's bad because, but what about the good that it's done? What about bringing people together that would have normally never met? What about bringing upon ideas and exchanges that would have never happened? There's a good and a bad for all things, but why not celebrate and highlight and build on the good?
Yeah. Yeah. 100%.
So I like to ask about the work that you do, but I do it in a very non-conventional way. Imagine that. So can you tell us the why behind what you do, and then tell everyone what you do?
The why is, the original why was, I wanted to be able to parent my children differently than I parented. So I wanted to learn about child psychology. I wanted to learn about what it meant to be a good, connected parent. And that led me to study psychology, to study, eventually to become a therapist, to go back to school and get a master's in counseling so that I could work with people one-on-one. I initially thought I wanted to be a child therapist, and that was not my calling. There are many wonderful child therapists out there, but I focused on working with adults, many of whom are highly sensitive, but often come to me with a sense of like, I know my life could be different, and I just want to be able to be better in relationships, but also, it may be to be a better parent or to not make the mistakes I felt my parents made with me. And so often my clients have had some childhood trauma, whether it's attachment issues or, more significant, well, those are significant too, but other traumas in their past lives that they now bring to therapy to work on.
Yeah. And is that still the current why? I know you said the original why. Is that still the current, or is that kind of like a mesh of both?
It's a mesh of both. I think as I began to understand how my own attachment wounds and my the trauma that I experienced as a child, how the healing has helped me, and I wanted to be able to pass that on to others, to help them know that, they weren't broken or unfixable, but that there was hope to heal and actually live pretty purposeful, productive, easeful lives.
And then if you can tell everyone what you do, your practice, any books or anything else that you've done.
Yeah. So I am a therapist. So as a counselor, a licensed professional clinical counselor, you have to get licensed in each state. So I'm licensed in Maryland and Delaware, and I see clients virtually in both those places. I write a lot, so I have a blog, both on my therapy page and the coaching and the therapy business are pretty separate, but I see similar clients in different stages of healing in both those places. So right now I've been focusing on the coaching side of things because I've done therapy for a long time. So I've built a membership for highly sensitive women to come together. We meet monthly, and there's also resources there for like meditation and journaling and chat rooms and all the things you might imagine a membership might have. Yeah.
And so your work with women, what inspired you to pursue that?
I felt really passionate about being able to, I feel like women have so many gifts to share with the world, and often the world can be a more difficult place for women to succeed and to move forward, but also because I'm a woman, it just felt really important to me to, really focus on that work. In therapy work, I see both men and women, but for coaching, I definitely limit it to women. It just feels easier in some ways for me, but also feels important to be able to support women because I feel like we have so many gifts to offer the world, and so often there's a lot of obstacles in the way.
What is the blog called?
It's just called my blog. I don't even have a name for it.
That is so profound. Wow. I love it. Can you name the websites and where we need to go?
Yeah. So, and the membership for highly sensitive women is called the Circle of Sacred Sensitivity. My coaching site is just my name, elizabethcush.com. And for the therapy site, it's progressioncounseling.com.
Got it. We will put all of those links in the description for everyone to go explore. I normally say that backwards. I'm so glad I got it out correct today. It's because of you. But no, seriously, thank you for all of the work that you've done and that you do with people and all of the work that you will do. As a woman, much appreciative. All the women in the world would be much appreciative and could benefit from you. So thank you for what you do, Elizabeth. If you could share a message with future therapists, because I know you mentioned, having done it for so long and there are a lot that are in retirement and there's a new, group of therapy folks coming. What is your message to those therapists, the new ones?
Yeah. It's not easy right now with just in the insurance, the way, at least in the United States, the way insurance works, how much you get paid. It can be a difficult journey to really hold space for people who are struggling while also trying to make a living. So I would say it's important to have other people who are also therapists, but maybe a little bit further along that you can rely on, consult with, really have those people that have your back and understand what this new world with, all the like better help and sort of inexpensive modes of therapy, navigating our way through that. It's really important to have other people in your corner that can help you do that.
So are you under the belief that it takes a village?
It does. It takes a village. Getting the support you need is so important. Having your own therapist can help too. But yeah. And I forgot to mention, I also have a podcast. So would it be all right if I share that too? So it's called Awaken Your Wise Woman. And it is all about supporting women in their journey in midlife. So yeah.
How long have you had that podcast?
It will be 8 years in March.
Wow, that's amazing. Congratulations. Happy pre-anniversary. If you could share a message with humanity, what would you tell them?
Well, I guess that we're all in this together, that we as humans have more in common than we have in difference, that if we can work towards finding that commonality of experience, that it really helps us feel more connected to each other and more compassionate towards each other.
That's an excellent message. Thank you so much for being here and sharing your therapy, sharing your message with the world, and letting us know that we are not alone. So if there's any takeaway from today, people, it's that we are not alone because Elizabeth says so. But and Elizabeth says you need a therapist. So go get a therapist if you don't have a therapist. If you need one, Elizabeth's available. Well, maybe not, but she knows many of them, I'm sure. And no, above all, protect your peace and your mental health. Very, very important. And find your community. Don't do it alone. At first it seems novel and interesting, but it's really not. So find your people, whoever they are. And if you need recommendations, there are plenty of groups, and we'll put some in the description for you to go and explore. Thank you guys so much for joining us on Humanity 2.0 podcast. We will see you guys next week for another amazing episode. Elizabeth, you are such a treasure. Thank you so much for being with us.
Thanks, Vanessa. So much appreciate you having me on your podcast.
Yes. And thanks, PodMatch, too, for bringing us together. We appreciate you guys. See you guys next week for another wonderful episode. Don't forget, again, you probably forgot, be good to other humans. Humanity 2.0 podcast is brought to you by Vanessa The Vivacious Productions. Want to be a guest? Visit the link in the episode description for future guest opportunities. Ready to podcast like a boss? Join PodMatch and begin your PodMatch journey via the link also listed in the description. Subscribe to Humanity 2.0 podcast on Apple Podcasts, YouTube, Spotify, and more. Follow and help support the show by buying Humanity a cup of coffee via buymeacupofcoffee.com/Humanity 2.0 podcast. Above all, don't forget to be good to other humans. See you guys next time.